Okay, finally we have golden now. It's nice and warm and sunny and my hair is on point. I feel like since my hair is longer now, I'm going to have a different hairstyle for every episode that I film. It's very warm. I'm enjoying the heat. But let's see what was going on when the weather was cold. Now when it comes to ticket sales, there's a bit of an art to it. Or are you ready to get tickets?
Yes.
Are you gonna try and get a ticket? No. Okay. You're gonna try and get a ticket.
Yeah.
You should release them around 2 to 3 weeks before the hackathon, mainly because if you release them any earlier, people will forget that it's happening and they will not turn up. Why would you turn up to a free event that you paid nothing for, right? When it comes to tickets, we usually do 3 batches, sometimes more, mainly because it gives everyone kind of a fair chance at grabbing a ticket, just in case they were busy that day or there was too many people with bots open that they couldn't get a ticket.
We have batch 2 that's going to be out in 12 minutes. The internet's starting to go down because everyone is getting on their computers.
So let's go have a look and see how many people have multiple tabs open to get a ticket. What? We usually release them around lunchtime or sometime in the evening, preferably during a time when there aren't any lectures going on or any classes or any weird courseworks due, because you want people to be free to be able to get the tickets, otherwise, you know, they're not going to be able to get any. We usually have a fraction of the tickets set aside just for Imperial students because obviously it's an Imperial hackathon, plus also they're the ones who live close by anyway, so they're more likely to come to campus on a weekend for a free event. There's also separate batches for alumni and final years who've never been to IC Hack, and that's just a few tickets set aside every year. You can find out more information about this when you see like previous like ticketing stuff for IC Hack. Another thing that's really nuanced about IC Hack is that we have so many people using bots to try and get tickets that this year we involved the most anti-botting measures ever. So we had false tickets, which were literally labeled, don't click on this, this is a bot ticket. And we had like half the tickets be those. So even if people picked a random index for their bot to run and get, I don't know, say the 3rd ticket or something, that would have been a bot ticket. Yeah, for the first release, we actually had the first 2 positions be bot tickets, mainly because those are the more common ones that people would have picked if they were running their bot. Another thing that, oh boy, I'm gonna get so much hate for this afterwards, like, oh. So before tickets went live for the first batch, I mean literally 5 minutes before they went live, I found out that people were using bots to search for the string Imperial. So I changed Imperial. So if you were a human and you could read English, it would have read Imperial. But if you're a computer, it would not have read Imperial. I thought that was very clever. That was quite fun to be able to change and ruin dreams. Of course, this is actually probably the only fun part during this time, mainly because there's just so much other things that need to be done. Now, some of the more pressing tasks during this time include, I'm just gonna make a list here if I can do the thing with After Effects. Yeah, I think that's cool. Yeah, I'll just make a list here if it shows up in After Effects. I don't know how that's gonna work, but it's gonna come. It's gonna happen. Yeah, so some of the tasks include making the finance spreadsheet, completing various new supplier requests because we're going to be ordering stuff from lots of new people, filling out purchase orders, mainly because only committee can do them. I don't know why they changed the system, but only committee can make purchase orders now, so big rip. Oh, another fun one, setting up all these different workspaces for different purposes. So this year I decided that we should use the Slack for more organizational things, so stuff to do with decision making or like choices that we needed to pick and stuff like that, and a messenger chat that's more imminent and more direct when it comes to, you know, collecting packages and stuff and making sure that things needed to be moved from wherever. This isn't a fun task. Cancelling bot tickets. Oh boy, oh boy. I had so many angry replies after I sent out the first batch of cancellation emails, mainly because they were like, I didn't use a bot, I just clicked it, but I didn't read that it was a bot ticket, and I'm just like, I still can't give you a ticket, man. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. But learn to read and exercise patience. Better luck next time. Sending out contracts and following up whenever necessary, and deciding on people to hold the opening and closing ceremonies. This year I wanted the people who helped most towards IC Hack and DocSoc to lead the opening and closing ceremonies, but of course that is literally up to the lead organizer on who they want to run this. You could go for someone who's super charismatic. You could also go with, you know, whoever wants to do it from like a whole range of volunteers, because it doesn't necessarily have to be people on committee doing the ceremonies.
So we sold all the tickets, and we've also put up the final year batch and the alumni batch up as well. I had to cancel some tickets and shatter some dreams because people accidentally clicked on the bot catching ticket, but hopefully they'll get their place off the wait list. It is Saturday, 18th of January, and I'm doing the volunteers briefing presentation. This year we're having two briefings. One to sort of tell them what it means to volunteer IC Hack, because a lot of people get overwhelmed. And second meeting will be a sort of mingling session, so the volunteers sort of work together, maybe get some team building exercises going. Currently focusing on opening and closing ceremony, especially who's going to be saying what section. Oh yeah, and also trying to find new soundtrack for the waiting music, because Morris, as much as I love the Etihad soundtrack, I feel like the Emirates waiting music just hits a lot more. My to-do list is 20 tasks long, and they're pretty much all related to IC Hack except for two. Yeah, literally 2 tasks. Other than that, everything is about IC Hack. Oh man. Oh, DocSoc. This is an interesting one. I mean, hopefully I can get this one done because I've been putting it off for 3 years, but we'll see. My first coursework has also been released, and that's been something. Not been tough, but a bit tedious to do because I've forgotten Python. This is my schedule for the week. It's a bit blurred out because I don't want you reading exactly what I have, but all the white bits are when I'm free. And that's when I'll be doing IC Hack work. I've also kind of neglected my duties as treasurer, so I'm gonna get on that in a minute. Well, not a minute, probably in a month. But hopefully people shouldn't be spending too much money, so that should be fine.
So this is the information game. Yeah. Okay, decide which point you want to split the stuff. Let's go. And the other dimension. So you say if you want.
Now, we went over important meetings, and I'm telling you, meetings won't stop. They'll just keep coming. There's going to be at least one every week. You better get used to it. Another important meeting is after the ticket releases, you're going to have a bunch of people who were really excited to go to IC Hack, but then couldn't end up getting a ticket because they got a bot ticket instead. For those people, we also give them the opportunity to actually volunteer at IC Hack on the day. Now, in order to gain volunteers for IC Hack on the day, we need to hold a meeting, a meeting presentation basically, just telling them what it means to be a volunteer at IC Hack. Because usually some of them only sign up just for the free t-shirt and then leave after 5 minutes. But that's only a few people. The majority actually stay throughout the whole time, and you ask them to help you with something, they will be there. In the presentation, just go over a rough timeline of what needs to be done during the day, during setup, cleanup, what are the timings that they're expecting, and some of the work that they might be asked to do. The IC Hack vlog. I forgot to record the volunteer briefing. Briefing went well, so far so good, except a lot of the responses are looking like this. Like, okay, when do you want to help? Fine. When do you want to sleep? No! A new thing that I wanted implemented this year was a volunteer scheduling system, because in previous years you have this thick spreadsheet, you can see it here, with the little squares filled in, and you expect the volunteers to go through and say during which times they'd be available and which times they wouldn't be available. But that didn't work out so well, mainly because during the graveyard shift, i.e. from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m, there would only be like 6 people awake. That just wasn't working. It just made life really difficult during that time when things needed to come and like other orders were being delivered and stuff like that. So this year I wanted a physical schedule that volunteers had to follow rather than make themselves. I only had this idea in mind, I had no idea how I was going to be able to make the schedule, but the first step was asking the volunteers during which times they'd be free to help out, during which times they would like to sleep, because scheduling and sleep is very important.
So that was it for the general prize category. Oh shit. Oh.
Yeah, and you see, that is why sleep is important. So yeah, if you do want to do that in future years, make sure you get that going up alongside collecting people who will be volunteering and stuff like that, because we need to know how many people will be volunteering on the day so that we know how many t-shirts to order, because otherwise we will run out like we have done for the past 3 years. So yeah, that was episode 3. I know that was a lot to take in, and it's full speed ahead from this point on, I'm afraid. So I'll catch you in the next episode. See ya!